Denise Nichols?
Yes, Kim, it's
Yes.
nice to see you.
Good to see you.
Everything going well?
Yes.
Fantastic.
I'm doing a great job, keep meeting my quota this month. So really excited to talk to you today, though, because, now I can relax and just have a good time and get to know you a little bit better.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to it, Kim.
Yeah.
Thanent you for coming by today. Hey,
All right.
please make yourself comfortable. Have a seat.
Yeah, thank you so much. And, I saw you went to the golf tournament the other day, and, I saw you across the tee, but I didn't get a chance to say hi, but my buddies were talking great things about you at UPS.
Awesome. Well, they weren't talking about my golf game, were they?
No.
Because that leaves a little bit to be desired. But,
Okay,
but
there you go.
anytime I have the opportunity to get out there and, and spend time outside, and it just gives me an opportunity to do a little bit more networking. So yeah, I met some of the team. Great stuff.
Okay, good. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I mean, I've been getting into it myself, and I met some great people in it. So networking is definitely something that I didn't know golf could do at the extent it's doing for me already. So maybe we'll play a game sometime.
So are you? Do you play quite frequently, or just getting into it?
Yeah, just getting into it.
Okay.
I mean, I'm looking to get a whole brand new set of golf clubs. I got some from my uncle that he gave to me. So we'll see how that goes. But hopefully we'll become pros one day and retire on an island or something. Just play golf.
Sounds good. When you're ready, let's
Okay.
play.
Well, cool. Well, again, thank you for having me. I want to give you my business card so that in case anything I didn't say today, you can recontact me in the future. Here's that information. Oh, is that your business card?
Here's my business card for you as well.
Perfect. Thank you. I will
Thanks.
definitely
You can-
save this. And I wanted to talk to you a little bit about your company, see if there's any needs within the payroll services part of your company, and then if it makes sense, if we find any needs, I'll talk a little bit about what we have to offer as a company, and then we'll move on from there. How's that sound?
That sounds fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
So before we begin, are you the sole decision maker, or is there someone else who would be in charge of the payroll
There would be
services?
somebody else in charge of it.
Okay.
So, at this point, think that you and I would meet, and then if we find that there is any value or any need, then I could perhaps make the connection between you and the individual that can pass that responsibility.
Absolutely, I would appreciate that
Okay.
a lot. Do you happen to know that individual personally, or do you know their
Yeah,
name?
I sure do. It's Forrest Harvey.
Okay.
Is his name.
Forrest. Wow.
Mhm.
And do you mind if I take any notes?
Oh,
today?
please do.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. And do you know Forrest Harvey personally, or is
I know
just
him
colleague?
very well.
Okay.
I kind of manage sales, and because everybody's doing more with less these days, my role is sales is kind of expanded into different projects and things of that nature. So Forrest is the CFO for UPS here in Florida, and he's the person that oversees kind of the payroll and the finances and things of that nature.
Okay.
And I have a very good relationship with Forrest. We work very well together.
Good. Well, I'm happy that the team aspect of UPS is definitely there. A lot of my clients that I work with who have that aspect have been very successful, especially when it comes to integrating the payroll services and making sure that it's won over correctly. So I'm happy that that is the case.
Mhm.
And
Excellent.
I'll go ahead and then ask you some general questions, and we'll go into some more in-depth questions to make sure that we're covering what's most pertinent. How many employees right now are within the Florida division that actually get paid on a consistent basis?
I would say about 5,200 employees.
Okay.
Mhm.
Wow, very large company.
Yes.
Very large in Florida indeed. So we got 5,200. Do you know what pay system you're currently using right now?
I do not. I do not know the pay system right
Okay.
now.
Okay, no worries, no worries. And what are the best things that you've seen from the company that has been doing it? Have they been, meeting the expectations? What are the good things about what's going on right now?
Oh, within our company, just overall.
No, with the whatever your system is right now.
Oh,
I've seen
okay.
the positive
You
side.
know, I can tell you that it seems like we have a good system, and for me, where I manage the sales force, and I don't hear a lot of issues or problems that has to do around payroll. And I know that certainly one of the measurements that Forrest is responsible for is kind of a frequency out of how many payroll checks we do. What out of that is accurate, and he's kind of measured on the accuracy of payroll. So I do know that. So he's very passionate about making sure that people get an accurate payroll, and then of course all of the reports and things that help him manage the back end of that as well.
Well, good that you have someone who's in charge and has a good sense of what's important, and accuracy is a big thing, especially with this type of system. And I'm happy that you don't have too many issues. I want your company to obviously be very successful. So, but with that, sometimes industries in this field, not ourselves but other companies, sometimes fall short. Are there any things that come up in the past that you remember that other employees had problems with, or could have been fixed simply? Is there any times that they failed?
Well, I'll tell you that one of the things that's happening within UPS, and I would say within the finance group, which Forrest is responsible for, and I think it's something that's happening across the country in different businesses, is that that people are doing more with less. So the more efficient that we can make a process, streamlining a process, I think those are the avenues that really support any type of changes within our organization. And of course, Forrest being that CFO, and he's about dollars and cents, it has to be very compelling.
Okay. Take some notes here. And how about the accessibility? Do you know if he's able to use his phone or his iPad or his laptop besides just his main computer?
Oh, he's very tech savvy.
Okay.
Yeah, everywhere he goes, he has. I think he was the first person within our group to get his iPad, and he's very up to speed on technology.
He definitely probably has access to it already.
Absolutely.
Perfect. That's really important. I think a lot of other people in the industry are starting to match that as well. So, did you ever see any inaccuracies, any time where people were being paid out different pay that they weren't supposed to be paid? There
are inaccuracies that do happen, and I would say probably the inaccuracies that do happen, my team is mainly management folks. But where you do see more of the inaccuracies is when it goes to paying our drivers, because they have vacations. It's just things go smooth if it's the day in, day out, no problems. But it seems like when it gets into a vacation or a discretionary day or things of that nature, that's where some of the problems come into play, where the inaccuracies come in.
Okay. Absolutely. And I think some of these problems are pretty fundamental, and I think sometimes it's easy for a company to start going on the wayside when it comes to the fundamentals. And I think that our company has ways that we could look into solving these problems right now if we were to be able to build a partnership. But I want to go over some of the things that you brought up, and to make sure that we can confirm that these are the things that you've been noticing, and then maybe add anything else that comes to mind that we haven't covered. I see that sometimes you see that they're maybe using other software systems to do HR than payroll budgeting, when it could probably be a little bit more efficient. It could probably just be more centralized. Okay, so we'll go ahead and make sure we cover that later on in the presentation.
And I think that, Ken, that goes back to the fact, and what I want to share with you that I think is important, is that Forrest, just like any CFO, it's got to make sense to him from a financial perspective. So with that being the case, and it really gets into, I think if you had something if we had something that would maybe reduce time, things of that nature, I think would be very, very beneficial too for us, because his staffing just got reduced by, I think, 15% the beginning of this year.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
No worries. Definitely covered that. So we'll make sure we touch on how we actually have proven to reduce a lot of the time, and we'll touch on that. So be a little bit more cost efficient as well. So pricing and making sure the affordability is matching the value that we're bringing as a company, as well as the reducing the time in the inaccuracies. I think vacation times and making sure that that's covered. So now that I have your confirmation that those are the main issues, let's go ahead and dive into why our company is probably a good fit for where you're at right now based off of what we talked about. ADP, just as a general overview, our company has been around for over 60 years. We have over 600,000 clients worldwide, and a lot of our clients have seen a lot of value from us because we've evolved with the times. We're proud to say that we've been validated by a lot of third-party companies such as Tech Magazine as one of the latest innovators in technology using mobile applications and the highest standards for security. And so we'll touch on that a little bit more specifically. Personally, I've been with the company for 5 years. I've been training with the ADP systems for a very elongated amount of time, and I've actually been on several committees that have helped with the evolution process of enhancing security, enhancing the inaccuracies to reduce them to basically none, as well as making it more efficient. So I have personal experience. You can be confident that when you're asking me a question that I have background knowledge and not just superficial knowledge. And so we can dive into that more if that's something you're interested in. But to address your first problem, I see that you have a system that's not efficient because it may be using different softwares when it could just be centralized. One thing that when I served on the committee is that's a big problem. I think a lot of companies are spending money in different outlets when they can just spend it on one company and be the best at it. And so what we did was we found that it's more beneficial to have all three systems combined so we can manage the people, your risk with the security, as well as the money that goes out of your systems. So what we'll do is, instead of paying all these different companies, we'll have it more efficient. And so when he is accessing the information that it takes to pay out, he won't have to log into the three different problems. So just on that information alone, I can talk more, but on that information alone, would you see it's already a little bit more efficient than, say, what you guys are already using?
I would say so, but I think that that this area is something that's going to have to be really pursued with forests. So
Okay.
I guess what I would tell you is that based on our conversation today and how compelling it is, and if I believe that it's something that Forrest would be interested in, then maybe we could set up a future
Yes.
meeting. He's a very, very busy guy, and he's a no nonsense, don't waste my time.
Gotcha.
And I'm just telling you that on the front end.
Oh, okay.
So I think that there's a compelling story, and I think that there's something that we could, that I think is something he would have interest in. Then I think it would be best that maybe you and I would maybe meet with him together.
Okay, and I think that's probably the best route. And I appreciate you letting me know about his personality type. So, being able to look a little bit forward in my presentation. Let me ask you, what's your time? Are you timeline? How much more time do you have with our meeting today?
I'm not too pressed. I have probably another 15, 20 minutes. So
Okay,
we're
perfect. Well, just so I can respect your time, then we'll definitely keep it within that time range.
Okay.
And make sure we cover everything we need to efficiently. So I wanna be able to also, before we meet with Harvey, I want to be able to let you know coming in how compelling it is.
Okay.
So
Excellent.
would you agree that it's a little bit more efficient to have it in one area than having it in different areas to the payroll?
It makes sense for that to take place, and like I say, streamlining the processes is something that we're very focused on.
Mhm.
But then also the cost of it.
Okay.
There's got to be a return on the investment. So if there's some money that we're going to put out,
Yeah.
for this process, Forrest is the type that he's going to put pencil to paper and figure out if it's the right thing
Okay.
to do. So I guess as you
It depends most on.
think about
Okay.
this, it's really what can we, and I work with Forrest all the time, and there's things that I have to go to him for.
Mhm.
And it always comes down to dollars and cents. Is it, and what he always tells me is if there's not enough pain and there's a lot of cost, the change probably isn't going to happen.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Perfect. So then, I'll definitely cover how advantageous our pricing is.
Excellent. Okay.
Depending on it. So let's move on to the next need then. So what we found also is that if I can show you the app, it actually is going to show you that our system prevents a lot of inaccuracies and can forecast the vacations.
Oh.
So I want to show you how easy it is to actually do that, and why you're going to think, why other companies haven't already done this. And so I think that's the biggest advantage of working with ADP is that we're in the leading. So if you could go ahead and press the payroll price, there you go. As you're going to see, you can start a regular payroll or a special payroll, and that'll bring you into the vacation aspect. So let's say you want to pay on a weekly basis. You would type in the date. Once you do that, you go ahead and hit start. All your contacts are actually going to be pulled from your phone as well. Whoever is an employee that you have saved on your phone.
Okay.
Then you can specialize, once you click on them, you can specialize how much they get paid hourly, salary, if they work any overtime. And then, as I said, there's other features that can specialize if they're going on vacation, if they have sick time, and other special occasions that come up. As you can see, it does pull your information from your phone. And so I'll go ahead and be forward with the security issues, that we're actually a company that's been AAA rated.
Okay.
We've never had any major instances or very few minor instances, so much so that we actually have our networks with the Swiss banks. And so those systems have actually never been broken into. And once we made that transition, our rating tripled. And so as a company who values that as well. And so security is one of our leading values as a company. And so as you can see, before you submit any of this information, you can also preview before it goes through.
Okay.
So that the inaccuracies, it'll double check and give you a confirmation page, which is another feature that a lot of companies don't provide. So based off of that information alone, do you see that it can reduce a lot of the inaccuracies that probably currently happen, and that the security is definitely a priority for our company?
Security is always a priority for us. I mean, we spend a lot of money to make sure that all of our systems are secure, and so any vendor that we work with, that's absolutely the case. And as far as the information being accurate, I can see that there would be some advantages with
Awesome.
this.
And just so I can get some more detail into what you may want, as an HR person who would be looking at this as Harvey, what other features do you think you would want to see in an application that would probably streamline his efforts and make it a little bit easier for him?
I don't know exactly what he would be. I mean, it's, the ease of use, the information being there, like you say, with the punch of a couple of a bit of information, having accuracy, or, being able to find that information. So I think those would be critical, but I don't know really beyond that.
Okay, yeah, no, I think those are the main things that actually a lot of our companies have felt. And so what we have found is that once we've addressed them, we've actually brought in engineers from Apple who've actually retired, and they've looked to do a lot of work independently, and they've actually created our applications to make it user-friendly.
Okay.
And so those are actually what a lot of the HR people actually bring up. So I'm glad that you happen to fall into the same category.
Okay.
And what would you think about the app? It seemed
I
pretty
like it,
streamlined,
yeah.
All right.
I absolutely, I can see Forrest right now on his iPad pulling
Yeah,
up
just
that
pull it up.
information.
Okay, excellent. Well, now that we covered those two issues, I think the biggest one now, like you said, Harvey is really big on pricing and the value in monetizing it to make sure that it has a dollarized value, not just the nickel per nickel. If it probably brings more value, he'd probably be more willing to pay maybe a couple percentage points higher, as long as the security is there, the user friendliness is there, and the accuracies are probably more advantageous than the other company. You think he'd be able to pay? Because similar to UPS, you aren't the lowest cost provider, but you do bring value, correct?
Right.
So I think we'd probably be halfway with that idea, right?
Yeah, I think that that when you look at it, and like I said, he does have some inefficiencies with the process, and there are some errors. So what is the cost of the inefficiencies, and what's the cost of the errors that he has, and does it justify making a change? Because right now, I wouldn't say that Forrest says that our system is broken and something needs to be done now.
Absolutely.
So I guess it's really, it is the need being created to justify him making a change.
I think that's where the pain point definitely lies.
Yeah.
And I think once I show you this, it's going
Okay.
to be very clear that we're going to be able to provide more value to your company and show you that the inaccuracies are actually making you lose more money than you would spend. And this would save you thousands of dollars more once you switch over to a company who's has less instances of inaccuracies. I think you hit a great point.
And now we're talking Forrest's language, just to let you know.
Okay, so we're entering his territory.
That's what he's all about. So,
So maybe you could help me out once we meet together.
Yes.
Once we all get together. So as you can see here, you're going to fall into the category where you have 5,200 employees. So every time you pay out to the entire sales force or your employee base, you are going to be charged $78.95. Most of the time, am I right, you pay probably every 2 weeks? So you're going to be paying roughly about $160 a month in our services, and then one-time implementation fee across the entire board as an ADP becoming part of your partnership as a $150 fee. So let me ask, what is the value of Harvey's time, let's say, well, let me ask you this question first. How much time do you think he spends working on payroll services?
Personally himself, I don't know that he spends that great amount of time. I think he probably gets involved, which might be a critical point. I think when he gets involved and when there are problems. But I think he pretty much counts on his people that work for him for the processing and everything. So, but I guess the critical point being that he's a very busy person, so anything that can be taken off of him in the way of problems with payroll would afford him the opportunity to do other things.
Gotcha. So if from what I'm gathering, you're saying that, he probably spends a little bit of time, so maybe 3 to 5 hours a week at most, working on payroll services. And if there is a problem, maybe a couple hours more for his people to kind of pick up the slack and streamline everything. So, depending on the pay rate that Harvey's paid out and his employees and assistants, usually what we found is we'll have a 15% increase in savings because the inaccuracies are 30% less than the average company that uses payroll services. So that correlation has actually been proven to show that the amount of inaccuracies that are reduced, the less work that's put in. And so if you combine the hourly, if you monetize how much hours they spend and how much they get paid per hour, if you multiply that out throughout the year, that's actually 15% saving. And you can't also you have to also take into account the time that they're going to be spending on their functions of their actual job and not picking up the problems that a company is bringing to your everyday use. So from that alone, 15% can mean thousands for you, it can mean tens of thousands for another company. And so since your company is so large, I'd probably think it way more towards the tens of thousands.
So let me make sure I understand, because I want to share this with Forrest. 15% savings and 30% less inaccuracies is what you think you guys could impact within our company.
Correct.
Okay.
That is what our
Okay.
statisticians have actually brought in, and we've been verified by third parties as well.
Awesome. And then he's all about third-party testimonial type. Is there other folks that if he had an interest that he could talk to, maybe another account that you sold, that he could just get some
Yes.
feedback?
Absolutely. I have a reference list
Awesome.
in my packet, and I'll
Okay.
leave that behind, and he'll be able to access them. They've actually been such loyal customers for over decades, and we've built such great relationships. And I think that's another component that I want to also bring up towards the end, but I'll talk about it now, is that just like your company builds relationships with their customers with UPS, and you provide more than just cost efficiency, but you provide the highest quality service. That's what we're going to provide as an ADP. We're very similar companies within different industries with the same very similar philosophies. And so if you ever have anything that you want to throw at me, or you have any other friends who have similar needs, I'd be more than happy to service them, and you have my long-term commitment. But I think that having him call those references is going to really solidify the deal beyond just the pricing. But I think once we identify that the 15% savings is there, we'll probably have him sealed. Wouldn't you think?
I think what you'll have is you'll have his curiosity,
Okay.
and his curiosity will permit a meeting with the two of you. And then I think from that point, he's your typical controller. So he'll try to put holes in it and make sure that everything's, valid and that everything's accurate. So I think that, like I say, with this information, I think that it'll pique his interest enough that he'll want a meeting with you.
Okay, well, perfect. Well, on that note, let's go ahead and schedule a time. I want you to be able to, I have a calendar right here. If you want to circle probably the best day that you're open, and that next time you have a meeting, and then we'll go ahead and I'll email you that time so you have it on you.
Okay, yeah, I know that actually next week on Wednesday, I think he and I are in a meeting in the morning from 9 to 10. How about next Wednesday from 10 to 11? Would that work out for you?
Actually, that time is actually open for me as well.
Okay,
So
okay,
we can
okay.
go ahead and do that.
Why don't we schedule?
Let's do that.
Why don't we schedule that then?
Well, I'll go ahead and email and make sure that we have a confirmation from both parties. And with that, do you happen to think of anyone else who might have a need for these services right now?
Well, I think what we could do is let's see how it goes with Forrest, because once he understands it, then I think there could be a whole host of other opportunities for you, because we're only one of 20 districts in the U.S.
Wow, okay.
So, I don't know, I think when you go through Forrest, then I think he can kind of let you know what other references or where we could go with it. Is that fair enough?
Absolutely, yeah. And I appreciate you letting me know about the 20 other divisions. I think it's something that we'll definitely look into once we're successful with you. And I appreciate all this time that you've given me, all the attention, and I look forward to our long-term partnership. I think you did a great decision in helping me, create a meeting with Harvey, and we're going to be great partners in the long term. So.
Well, I have to tell you, Ken, that I wouldn't be taking you to Forrest
Okay.
unless I had the comfort that I thought that this was something that he would be interested in and it's worthy of his time. So I'd have to say that you did a very fine job as well.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate those comments.
Okay, great. Thank
All
you.
right.
Looking forward to next Wednesday.
Looking forward to
Thanks
it too.
a lot.
I'll see you.